bad thing about coming out here to Las Vegas is eventually you have to leave Las Vegas. The silver lining, when we get back to Boise, football season is just around the corner. Boise State experiencing a little bit of madness before the tournament even kicks off. A lot of fans were making the exact expression that Leon Rice did when they found out that Boise State was one of the last 4 teams selected into the NCAA tournament. When you do hit your home runs, they're inevitable. Are you a bat flip, showboat guy, or are you a act like I've been here before kind of player?
I'm a little bit of both.
Well, you know, Justin, at long last, Boise State joining the Conference of Champions. People have looked forward to it for years, but of course, the Pac-12 looks much different than it did years ago. I do think this is absolutely an upgrade for Boise State.
The last time these two teams played, both of these games were nuts. They were awesome college football atmospheres. I've always felt like this would be an awesome regional rivalry. Well, guess what? Years later, now it is.
Ready to make my B-boy debut, we went through the 4 main fundamentals of breaking. There's top rock, that's everything you do while standing up.
Third is going to be freeze, right? How can you stop? What can you stand still in a place? What crazy movements can you stop in, right?
Use your hands. Hold yourself up.
I found that one to be the most difficult. This went about as expected.
Come on, Brady.
Actually, maybe even worse than expected.
And so you just blew by me on your warm-up day.
Yeah.
Last week, I got a chance to go to referee training at Rocky Mountain High School. There's a shortage of refs in Idaho and across the nation. This was a way to bring new officials in, let them try it out, and try to keep local football games officiated at the highest level for the future. I had a ton of fun, but if you think you can do better, I encourage you to go out and try, because like I said, they need more refs. A group of zebras is called a dazzle. So what do you call a group of referees?
Anybody know when the first football game was?
Essential to the game of football.
1869, Princeton versus Rutgers.
And one of the most thankless jobs in sports.
Rutgers won. Did they? Yeah. On a bad call.
On a Friday night in the Treasure Valley, as many as 120 refs can be in action. But around the country, their ranks are dwindling.
That's one frustration sometimes we have. Is
training opportunities like this one seek out potential officials.
You got a wing guy trying to set change, whatever it is.
And teach them, starting with the classroom fundamentals, hand signals, philosophy, where to stand, what to watch for.
Starting off, that's an illegal motion.
Then we jump into the field, getting reps reffing a freshman jamboree.
It's a great teacher of patience, having a great demeanor, understanding and wanting to study the rules.
Ted Pettit, a ref with 35 years of experience, passed on his wisdom.
You learn your whole career, okay? You never stop learning as an official. There are things that are obscure that happen once in 50 games, but there's things that happen all the time. So you get really good at the things that occur more frequently. And then you try to prepare for the times when something obscure happens that's a little different.
A huge portion of the job happens before the ball's even snapped.
Let's do it.
Check that the clock is correct. Count 11 defenders on the field. Make sure there's no more than 4 players in the backfield. Signal that the wide receivers are on the line of scrimmage.
Or the other way.
This way.
Right.
Then check for false starts, check for holding, check for any other illegal contact.
2 of them are kind of off.
And finally, if the ball goes to your side, mark where it's down, signal whether the clock rolls or stops.
That's the first down, right?
Signal the next down, and do it all again. An average of 120 times per game. For my first time,
that was good.
Don't be afraid.
I thought it went okay.
Well, you might get screamed at, but I thought you did a pretty good job.
Thick skin has become a requirement.
That's the #1 reason why people aren't going into officiating is the way they're treated.
Although Jason tells me it's gotten better, especially here in Boise, something they work to manage.
It's not you they're disagreeing with, it's the fact that they don't like the judgment you made. And we do have to make judgments all the time, but it takes a good official who can listen. Lots of listening involved.
But the other threat to the ref population is retirement.
We get older every year and the players stay 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So it's important to have some younger officials start filling in those ranks, getting some longevity. I mean, you develop and become a better official with the more experience you have.
On the brighter side, it creates opportunities.
And I was like, I need to give back somehow.
For people like Ethan Page, a recent high school grad.
Yeah, there's a lot more that I didn't ever think that they would have to do, but it's insightful.
Outside of the excitement of working around sports, most refs told us the draw to the job is the camaraderie. Like teammates on the field, they've formed a bond.
There you go.
Of support, development, and mentorship.
We have great input, we have great mentors, great training, and I think that we operate at a pretty high level. And the teams, which is good because the teams here operate at a high level.
So what do you call a group of refs?
Hopefully it's called an association where we all work together to promote and help each other to be the best officials we can.
Over the weekend, NFL legend Steve Young took a visit to Boise. He made time to visit with the patients at St. Luke's and spoke at a pair of community events at the Jump. But in between, he made time for a different visit, a trip to the Idaho State Correctional Center. So what kind of common ground could a superstar quarterback find with the inmates? Well, it turns out quite a lot.
I'm going to do a little introduction. You probably know more about him than I do.
Saturday brought a special guest to the Idaho State Correctional Center.
He's a two-time NFL MVP and a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A select group of inmates nominated by the staff earned an opportunity to hear from a man that probably didn't need an introduction.
Steve.
All right, thank you.
One of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history.
I can tell you about Super Bowls, and I can tell you about, wins and great moments.
And a leader of one of its greatest dynasties.
20 straight years in the playoffs. 5 Super Bowls, 12 championship games.
A speech.
People go, well, why? How?
Partially about playing football.
It wasn't the play that was called. It wasn't the defense that was run. It was this.
More about learning from it.
This fundamental concept.
Becoming the basis of his 2022 book.
I call it the law of love.
A message straight from Hall of Fame head coach Bill Walsh.
He said, the number one thing I want you to do is develop an element of love for each other.
With the law of love, they found undeniable success on the field.
Seeing others as fellow journeyers.
But when he expanded that love beyond his teammates, he found success and knowledge in business, philanthropy, and life.
This is just me chewing on stuff that I find kind of universally true and a kind of a spirit of abundance. I found that abundance in football. I found it in business. I found it at home.
The love shared is a fundamental respect.
And I want you to know that we're not different. We're journeying and we're trying to figure out in relationships how to find that abundance.
Everyone on their own path, on the journey through life. The little things that help us find an understanding with each other. Young shared the power of taking ownership for mistakes.
There was a disaster. I threw the other team and lost the game.
And forgiving others for theirs.
To see someone beyond what they are right this second.
And getting along with people who are different.
I know there's Cowboy fans. Relax, don't scream. I know you want to scream.
Even NFL rivals.
I grew up a Cowboy fan. I loved Roger Staubach. He was my hero. And then I matured.
Yes, sort of. All jokes aside, his message was well received.
You could hear a pin drop. The men and the women in this room were full attention. He shared so many life lessons with us, and I bet you tonight the men in this room are still going to share that reflection time, hopefully share some of those universal lessons that Steve shared with us today.
Stories to bring with them on their journeys.
As I told them, I didn't come to speak to them because they're in prison. I came to speak to them because we're journeying with me and we're just we're on the path together. So.
In the world of baseball, there has always been a divide when it comes to implementing technology. Right now, a computer system could easily replace an umpire, but most managers don't want to see that. Instead, the Pioneer League and the Boise Hawks have found a happy medium. Players can now challenge ball and strike calls made by an official, meaning that when it's a make-or-break call, they're no longer at the mercy of one set of eyes. While the action unfolds on the field, there's plenty going on inside the press box. From radio play-by-play to official stat keeping to the staff that runs the video board. But this season, there's a new job. This black box on the roof was made by a company called TrackMan. It's tracking the path of the ball in real time.
I just look at my screen and then I get a clear picture of the zone and I can just identify whether it's a ball or a strike.
Multiple pro leagues, including Major League Baseball, are using TrackMan for real-time analysis. Things like speed, spin rate, and pitch location. But the Pioneer League is one of the few that allows players to challenge ball and strike calls made by the umpire.
The review, the pitch is overturned to a ball.
It's a little bit of a guinea pig league, so I think the guys are kind of adjusting to it.
Peyton Van Tol is in charge of analyzing that pitch data and making the final call. It sounds stressful, but typically calls are pretty clear-cut.
As soon as the challenge is made, we can usually confirm or deny it in like 2 seconds.
2 challenges remaining. The count is 1-0.
This happens seamlessly without slowing down the game. A player, either the batter, pitcher, or catcher, signals a challenge by tapping the top of their head. In the press box, the strike zone is analyzed and the call is either confirmed or overturned.
Field is confirmed strike.
Teams can issue 3 unsuccessful challenges per game with a maximum of 6 total challenges each.
Glacier has no challenges remaining.
After a half season of use, teams have adopted their own strategies.
We try and use them on, like, if it's going to be a ball 4 or a strike 3, somewhere where, like, you know, it's going to determine the outcome of an at-bat.
On defense, the Hawks like to reserve the challenges for their catchers. After all, they have the best view.
You don't want to have selfish challenges. First pitch of at-bat, first pitch of an inning, like, it's a long game. So we got to save them for, you know, kind of crucial moments of the game.
On offense, any player has the green light, but they aim to keep challenges strategic and unemotional.
Because you don't have a lot of time to think about it. You know, really you have 2 seconds to let the umpire know. All of our guys have emotions and they're in the heat of battle, and we want to do everything that we can. And I think all of our guys are learning how to better use those decisions in critical situations.
Although the technology is there, baseball has been hesitant to entirely remove human error from umpiring.
The idea of a robo-umpire, I'm not a big fan of. I think that human element definitely is a part of the game that makes the game special and emotional.
But players and coaches see the strike zone challenge as a good step forward, improving umpire accountability and keeping game-changing calls out of one person's hands.
You know, you got to keep an open mind, and it's leagues like this that can be those experimental leagues to get good information and get good data to help make the best decisions to make this game even better than it is.